Ask most men and they'll tell you they dread having to wear a suit. They're stuffy, they're uncomfortable, and almost never fit right. But what if I told you there was a way to nail the fit 100% of the time by having your own custom suit made for as low as $500? Sounds crazy, right? I thought the same until I had the opportunity to partner with my friends over at Dillard and design my first custom suit through Alton Lane. In this video, I'm going to take you through that entire process from beginning to end, from picking out the fabrics, the design, and the cut of the suit. But I'm also going to go over some do's and don'ts with wearing the suit and some key details that you cannot overlook when you're trying to pull off this power suit look. Let me just give you a quick history on Alton Lane. They were founded in 2009 by Colin Hunt and Peyton Jenkins, two University of Virginia graduates that poured their life savings into a dream of starting a company that provided high quality fabrics at an affordable price. But they wanted to take this a bit further. Now, the men's fashion industry is a $590 billion industry, but a recent survey showed that 65% of men do not like the shopping experience. So they set out to try to change that. When you walk into an Alton Lane showroom, you're greeted and treated like extended family. It does not look like a store. It has the vibe more of a cigar lounge. It has a couch and a bar to make your favorite drink so that you're as relaxed as possible enjoying the process when picking out your suit. Now, they also take the custom fit a bit further. You also have the opportunity to have a 3D scan of your body. And what they're looking for here are any discrepancies or deficiencies within your structure. For example, my left femur sits up higher into my pelvis, making my right leg a bit longer. Now, I've been with my tailor long enough to where she knows my structure. But if you're working with Alton Lane for the first time, that 3D scan is going to give them a lot of information to make sure that the end result matches the structure of your body. Now, the only downside that I can find to Alton Lane is that they only have 8 showrooms. And unless you live somewhere on the East Coast, it's going to be very difficult for you to go through this process. But being the innovators that they are, they partnered with the Dillard's department store. Dillard's has 272 stores nationwide. So you're going to have a lot better luck going through Dillard's for this Alton Lane experience. Now, when dealing directly with Alton Lane, you do have to have an appointment. But if you're going through their Dillard's program, you can go in by walk-in. But I still suggest that you go through an appointment so you get the most out of this time. Now, I had the opportunity to go through this process with my friends over at Dillard's in El Paso, Texas, and Cielo Vista Mall. If you guys are ever in the El Paso area, please stop by and ask for Daniel so he can take you through this whole process. The first thing they're going to do, because they don't have the scanner, is they're going to ask you some objective measurements, and they're also going to take measurements. And once they have that information, they're going to plug that information into the system. So taking me as an example, I'm 5'11", 180 pounds. I have what's known as an inverted triangle body type, where my shoulders are wider than my torso and my hips. So once taking that measurements, and then they also take in what your body type is, then the computer is going to simulate that of a scan and then spit out the best fit and cut for your body type. There's some play with this. For example, the computer had me at a 42 small. Well, I like my jackets to be slightly longer to cover my seat, so I went with the 42 regular. Then based off the measurements that you entered into the system, it's going to suggest what kind of fit you should go with. And you have 3 options. You have a tailored fit, a slim fit, and a classic fit. The classic fit's going to be the most relaxed, a slim fit is going to be the most tapered, and then a tailored fit is going to fall somewhere in between. I ended up choosing the tailored fit. It's a little bit more of a British cut. Now, once you decide which fit you're going to do, the next step you're going to do is pick your fabric. The reason you're picking your fabric here is because this is the point where you're going to decide your price point. They have tier 1s through tier 4s. Your tier 1 is going to start as low as $500, and your tier 4s can go up as to $7,000, $8,000. But don't be fooled about the tier 1. My son had the opportunity to do this custom design, and he was able to go with a tier 1 with 97% wool and 3% spandex. $500 is unheard of for a custom made suit with 97% wool. For reference, I ended up going with the classic slate gray, 100% wool, tier 3. Now that you have the fit and the fabric picked out, now you're going to try on some coats to make sure that the computer is in line with what it's suggesting to you. So for me, I tried on a 42 regular. It lined up perfectly on the shoulders, but there was a little bit of room around the torso. But at this point, don't worry about that. When you get the suit back after they're ordering, they're going to be able to adjust all the little fine tuning that it's going to need once you get the suit back. While we have the jacket on, let me go over how that jacket is supposed to fit. And we're going to start from top to bottom. The collar of the jacket should line up flush with the collar of your shirt. There should be no gaps there or any spacing. If you see any of this, that means the jacket's too big for you and you're going to have to come down a size. Scrolling down to the shoulder, the seam of the jacket should line up with the seam of your shoulders. If the jacket's too small, it's going to come up a little higher here and pinch and be very uncomfortable. If it's too big, the shoulder's going to drape off the side and be uncomfortable as well. Now next is the armhole. The armhole is where you put your arm through the jacket. Conventional wisdom tells you that the more space that's there, the more comfortable it is. That's not the case. If you have too much material bunched up here, there's going to be a lot of material. It's going to be very uncomfortable and it's just not going to drape right. Now on the other end, if you went too tight on the armhole, it's going to pull and be very restrictive. Now moving on to the length of the coat sleeve. The sleeve of the coat should not pass your wrist bone. It should stop right at this bone right here when your arm is down. You should be able to see 1/4 inch of the sleeve out of the sleeve of the jacket. Now let's work our way back up to the lapels. You're going to be able to pick your own lapel. You can do a peak lapel. You can do a notch lapel or you can do a shawl lapel. Shawl lapels are reserved more for your formal wear, like your dinner jackets or your tuxedo jackets. So when you're designing a suit, you should go with either a notch or a peak lapel. It's up to you. What I will tell you though is that the peak lapel gives it a really sharp line. Think of Harvey Specter from Suits. If you can ever scroll back to some of those shows, you will never see him with a notch lapel. They're all Tom Ford or Ralph Lauren purple label peak lapels, but those are $4,000 to $8,000 suits. We're not going down that road. But if you're looking for a power look, the peak lapel looks great, especially with the structured shoulder pads. Which brings me to my next point. You're gonna have the opportunity to design the structure of your jacket. You can go with an unstructured jacket. Those are gonna be more for your sport coats or your blazers. And what that means is there's no lining inside the jacket. It's unstructured. A lot of times if you hold it up to a window with the sun going through, you'll see right through the jacket. Or you can do what's called a half canvas. Now half canvas has an additional structure inside the jacket, but it's from the shoulders to about mid-torso. A full canvas jacket is the same thing from the top, but all the way to the bottom hem of the jacket. If you guys are trying to get the best bang for your buck when designing these suits, I would go with the full canvas for a couple reasons. One, it's usually an upcharge when you're doing a custom suit design, but with Alton Lane, it's part of the program. And the second reason, it just gives a really nice structure to the suit and it helps the fabric just drape nicely. You're also gonna really get to customize this jacket by picking out your own lining and have your own monogram placed inside the jacket. You're gonna have an opportunity to pick the slant of your pockets, or you're gonna have an opportunity to add a ticket pocket, which is just above your regular pocket. You'll choose the vents, whether you want 2 side vents, one in the middle, or no vents at all. The no vents at all are usually reserved for your formal wear with your tuxedo jacket. You're gonna have an opportunity to pick which buttons you want in just a moment, but what we're gonna talk about first is the number of buttons. You can do a 1 button, 2 button, or a 3 button. I would just avoid the 3 button suit. It's a little bit outdated. The 1 buttons are usually reserved for formal wear, dinner jacket, tuxedo jacket. So with the 2 buttons, some objective truth here. You never ever button the bottom button, only the top button. When standing, the top button remains buttoned. When you're gonna sit, you unbutton to sit down. The length of the jacket is a little bit subjective, but the best rule of thumb is when you put your arms to your side and when you fold in your fist, the hem of the jacket should lay comfortably right in the crease. You wanna make sure that the jacket is covering your seat. Now let's move on to the trousers. You're gonna try on some trousers to make sure that you're the size that the computer is suggesting for you to try. You're gonna have an opportunity to pick trousers with belt loops or with side clasp. This is completely subjective and preference. But I will tell you, if you're looking a little bit more for an elevated look, I would do the side clasp for a couple reasons. One, when you wear a belt, and let's say you're wearing a light gray suit like I have on today, the black belt is gonna break up the symmetry from the pant to the shirt. That horizontal line kind of breaks up visually. Whereas when you're wearing the side clasp, it just flows from the pant right into the shirt, and they're actually pretty comfortable and you can adjust them on the side for your fitting. But also, usually when you're doing the side clasp, it's an upcharge. But with Alton Lane, it's not. The other thing you'll be able to do is you're going to pick whether you want to do plain front, 1 pleat, or 2 pleats. I will tell you, if you're one of my bigger gentlemen with bigger thighs and hips, I would do the 2 pleats because that's going to make the fabric drape nicely on you. If you're a thinner gentleman, you're fine with a plain front or the single pleat. Then we move on to the cuff. You can do no cuff or you can do a cuff. Now, if you're doing plain front, I suggest going with no cuff. That's just a little bit more of a professional business look. If you're going with the single or double pleat, you can do a 1-inch cuff or a 2-inch cuff. That's gonna be more preference and what you like. And then lastly on the pants, you're gonna have an opportunity for them to add some buttons so that if you wanna throw on some suspenders. But pro tip here, if you did the belt loops and you're gonna wear suspenders, you do not wear a belt. And I just hate how it looks when people have suspenders on with pants with the belt loop showing. It just kind of breaks it up and it looks a little bit sloppy. It looks like you forgot something. So if you do want to do the suspenders, even more of a reason to do the side clasps. Now at this point, you're done designing your suit. Now you're going to wait 2 to 3 weeks to get that suit back. And once you get it back, it's not uncommon to have a few little things that need to be tweaked here and there. And what's nice is that they're tailors in-house, so whatever needed to be adjusted, I had back within 2 to 3 days. Now when I went back for the final fitting, everything that was pending was done to perfection. And now you have a fully custom suit made complete to your fit, your design, and your structure. But to finish pulling this look off, we have to go over 5 key elements that you just cannot overlook. First, let's talk about the shoes. If you invested all this time and money into designing your own suit, please don't overlook your footwear. Do not go with faux leather shoes, and don't be fooled by the term genuine leather. The genuine leather is the least expensive portion of that hide. You're gonna wanna go with either top grain or it's called full grain, but stay away from genuine leather and especially faux leather. In my opinion, the shoe that looks best with this kind of suit is an Oxford. In the color, you can go with black, dark brown, or burgundy. Now, while we're down there, let's talk about the hem. There's a little bit of a preference here, but some objective truths. You're gonna wanna avoid having several breaks in the hem, meaning that there's a bunch of material bunched up over your shoe. It's gonna take away from the draping of the pant. What looks best is a slight to no break where the hem just touches the shoe with a slight break, or it's completely straight to the bottom. Now, if you're one of those that chose to go with the belt loops, make sure that your belt matches the color of your shoe, but also the shine of the belt matches the shine of the shoe. Now let's move up to the shirt. I would either do a white, or a blue, or some small patterns, but I wouldn't go too loud on the shirt if you're trying to do a power suit. On the collar, there's some preferences here. You can do a cutaway collar, you can do a spread collar, or you can do a pinpoint collar. That's gonna be completely preference. The length of the shirt should reach past that bone on your wrist that we talked about when we were talking about the jacket, to ensure that you can see the sleeve coming out of the jacket. That's a little pro key tip. Let's move on to the tie. The knot of the tie is gonna correlate with the width of your collar. So if you did a cutaway collar, you're gonna wanna do a double Windsor. If you did a spread collar, you're gonna do a Windsor. If you did a pinpoint collar, you're gonna do a 4-in-hand. And I'm gonna provide links on how to tie each one of those knots into the description. The width of the tie should correlate with the width of the lapel. Do not wear a skinny tie with a peak lapel. In fact, don't wear skinny ties at all. Just stay away from them completely. You can go with a slimmer tie, but stay away from the skinny ties. On average, you want your tie's width to be 3 to 3¼ inch thick. That'll go with most lapels. For the accessories, don't overlook the pocket square. You can have some creativity here, but what is an objective truth? The pocket square should never be the same fabric and design as a tie. No matchy-matchy, that is a huge rookie mistake. They should complement each other, or your safest bet is going with the white pocket square that's cotton, linen, or silk. And my favorite fold for a Harvey Specter look is a presidential fold. And now for the last one. Don't you dare spend all this time and money creating your own suit and nailing the shoes and nailing the tie and nailing the pocket square and then throw on a smartwatch. Don't do it. Don't do it. The most appropriate watch you're gonna wear with the power suit is gonna be something with the stainless steel bracelet or something with a leather strap. That's it, guys. You follow all those tips on nailing the fit and nailing those details, you're gonna look as sharp and as powerful as Harvey Specter. But I'll tell you this. If you're doing a custom-made suit and you're spending $1,000 to $2,000, or an off-the-rack suit where you're spending $300 to $400, if you don't pay attention to the fit and the key details, you will have wasted your money regardless of the amount that you spent. My whole goal with this is for you guys to not want to say, I have to wear my suit. Instead, I get to wear my suit. All right, guys, thank you so much for your support. And I want to again thank Dillard for helping me put this video together and bringing you this custom-made program so that everyone could share what my son and I got to experience. And as always, guys, thanks again and see you in the next one.